Talk to me about your visit while you're here in Little Rock.
So I'm here today speaking at a conference centered around promoting careers in math and science, and particularly this is what I was talking about. But the conference itself focuses on healthcare, getting folks involved in healthcare, becoming dentists and pharmacy. This is the 118th year that they've had this conference, which is great. And it's focused primarily for African Americans.
You know, going back to your lecture, when you said you were preparing kids internationally for jobs, talk to me about that.
It's important as we are promoting education with our kids that we expose them internationally to what's happening internationally, because in this day and age they're going to be competing with other folks from different countries, from China, from Japan, from Europe, and so just focusing on how they're going to develop their skills for the United States is not enough anymore.
Talk to me about a few of the issues in the education system here.
So the U.S. educational system is a good system, but it lacks in terms of ensuring that all communities, all ethnic groups, end up with the skill set that they can be, viable citizens. And let me talk about that a little bit. If you look at the graduation rates in this country, about 70% of kids graduate from high school. If you then break that down to Latino, Hispanic, and African American kids, it's just above 50%. So think about this. Around 50% or so of our kids, the African American, Hispanic kids, are not graduating from high school. So what happens to those kids? Well, they end up in prison, they end up in poverty, they end up producing the next generation
Right.
that also ends up not graduating, and so it ends up with this waterfall of many different consequences in that. So I think one of the first things that we need to do in this country is to work with those communities to raise the overall graduation rate so that we're at par with the rest of the ethnic groups in the U.S.
Is it the parents, the teachers, or the leaders, or everyone as a whole? Who's at fault?
Well, I think all of us have a role in the child's education. So I don't like to put blame to say whose fault, but I'd like to turn it around and says who's involved in the solution.
Right.
And it starts initially with the parents, because that sets the foundation. That gives the kids their mindset in which they're going to enter the world. And then it is the educational system. It is the teachers, it is the principals, it is the superintendents that are responsible for educating the majority of our youth in this country. And again, I believe, and this is a personal statement, that we're focused mostly these days, particularly in high school, on testing these kids because we need to measure them some way.
Right.
But we're losing the ability to actually teach the kids to prepare them for the world in which they're entering in. We're just preparing them to pass the test so they can say they met minimal standards. And
Right.
I don't think that's the way in which we need to be approaching this. And then lastly, I think that it's important for the overall community government and national government to have this mindset that we have this expectation, a higher expectation that we want for this country, for the educational system in this country, because we want to be competitive with the rest of the world.
So how important is math and literacy combined?
Oh, I think you need, in this day and age, in the 21st century, where technology drives everything,
Right.
I think you need a certain level of math and science skills, no matter what field you go into.
Right.
And so it's just going to be critical. And I believe that any career that you choose, math and science is going to be involved in it. Whether you want to be a singer that need to lay down your voice track digitally and have that spread out to the rest of the world,
Right.
or be an astronaut and have to go through the training necessary to blast off in space. That's a big range.
Right.
But in this day and age, technology drives everything.
Talk to me about the Harris Foundation and the three pillars: education, wealth, health.
So I formed the Harris Foundation in 1998, and we had three pillars: education, health, and wealth. And it's really based on this premise that I think in order for an individual or a community to be successful, they've got to excel in education, health, and wealth.
Right.
Those are just critical pillars for success.
Right.
And so on the education side, if a person is not educated, and of course we're pushing STEM education, then they're not going to be prepared for this world. Education, I believe, is the key. You know, Booker T. Washington said it earlier, much earlier than I said it many years ago, about how valuable education is, particularly for the African American, to grow and to become a viable part of the society.